Hi everyone, hi, it's Arsh Ellahi. Hope you're well. It is Boxing Day 2016. First of all, may I say Merry Christmas. Hope you've had a great time with your family, friends, and you've enjoyed the time away. If you wouldn't mind, would you mind just saying a quick hello? Let me know that you can hear me nice, loudly, and clearly. That'd be fantastic before we move any further. Okay, so brilliant. Hi Evelyn, hi Barry, hi Yvonne, hi Reed. Hope you're well. Hope you're enjoying the break. And hi Rich, hope you're well. Rich is one of my mentees, and glad to see you online. Right, the reason why I'm going to be completely honest, I'm going to be completely blunt. This was a bit of a challenge. Because when I was sat around with my marketing team prior to Christmas and we were talking about what we do, well, we've got our goals and we've got our targets set for 2017. I said, well, why don't we try something on Boxing Day? And they all pretty much all laughed. They thought, well, hang on, who's going to come online on Boxing Day? And when I started to spell it out to them that, believe it or not, I don't know what you guys are online here with me this evening. Between Christmas and now running up to New Year, it's pretty much a bit of no man's land. Now, depending on where you are, you may like to go shopping, you may like to spend some time with family. But for me personally, this is a perfect time for me to make sure that my strategy and my targets and everything that we're doing for 2017 is set. So we get to write it down so we know what we're looking to achieve, how we're going to achieve it, and we're going to be going through this today. So first of all, I want to just say congratulations. The reason I want to say congratulations is because I appreciate it's Boxing Night. I appreciate there's lots of things that you can be doing. You could be sat around the table playing board games with your family, having a drink, relaxing, whatever it may be, but you've decided to come online and learn something new. So I'm going to be giving away a few Christmas gifts this evening, especially to only people who attend the webinar, which are you guys, so congratulations. Also want to say thank you for trusting me with your time on Boxing Day, because I appreciate that time is precious and it is one of the most precious commodities, and I guarantee that this evening for the next 60 to 90 minutes is going to be the best investment that you make. So what we're going to be talking about in 90 minutes time, you'll know the secrets to setting and achieving your goals, the 3-step formula to create better habits, and we'll talk about habits and why it's such an important step in creating goals and achieving your goals, and also how to build a £5,200 per calendar month property cash flow business on a 30-minute daily habit. So habit is a big part of tonight's webinar. We've never presented this webinar ever before, and reason being is because this is such a critical part of the year. Now, tonight's session, I'd like to think is going to be quite a interactive session, and hopefully it's going to be quite a thought-provoking session as well. So hopefully you stay with me. So why should you listen to me? So as I said before, my name's Arsh Ellahi. I'm the best-selling author of a book called Boom, Bust and Back Again. And as the title suggests, property hasn't always been an easy journey for me. We've seen the good times, we've seen the bad times, and we've had to rebuild it and start from scratch again. So hi Brian, he said Merry Christmas. So Merry Christmas to you all. I've been involved in property full-time for 16 years, but I've actually been involved in property, you could pretty much say, all my life, and I'm 36 years old. Ever since the moment I could walk, I knew nothing other than to be involved in property. When I left university in the year 2000, I became full-time involved in property. You could say that I've pretty much earned my scars. I've been running a group of letting agencies for the last 8 years, which is almost in a franchisable model. So we've got lots of different fingers in lots of different pies, but they are all within the property field. I'm also a property investment trainer and also mentor that has helped hundreds, if not thousands, of people who are hungry for change to achieve financial freedom. So I wear lots of different hats. I wear the hats of an investor. I wear the hat of a landlord. I wear the hat as a trainer, and I also attend my workshops myself. So I also wear a hat as an attendee. So I get to see all parts of it. Now, here's my first Christmas gift to you. Now, feel free to write it down. Feel free to. I'll tell you what I will do. And I should have done this earlier. I will put this directly into. Let's see if it'll allow me to do this. Into the chat box. And there we go. So hopefully you should get that in your question or your chat box. Hopefully you should have that, which allows you to click on the link directly. Okay, so hi Vina, hope you're well. Merry Christmas. So I've got two other gifts for you this evening, and that's going to help you get started with this property cash flow strategy, and you'll receive them at the end of the webinar. So first gift to you is goal and habit setting. So it's going to be in a format of a PDF document which you can download, but I don't want you to go off and start downloading that yet. That's going to be there for the rest of the evening, as well as I'll be sending you this presentation over the next course of the couple of days. So what's the secret to achieving anything you want in your life? I'm a firm believer that what you've got to do is create and set your goals in order to achieve your goals. And the biggest thing that you've got to do is write your goals down. And as a result of that, you're 75% more likely to achieve them than if you don't. So, sorry, Andrew said it's not a clickable link. Okay, Andrew, if you wouldn't mind, if you just write it down for the moment, I'll make sure that everyone gets there. I'll tell you what I will do, Andrew. Let's see if I can do this. Send to all. So I've just sent it. Okay, so some people said, Richard says the link works fine. Michael said the link doesn't work. Believe it or not, it does work because I've checked it prior to, and just so that you I checked it just before we did, and it's Gopal said it does, so it does work. Okay, brilliant. So when we talk about goal setting, now I'm going to break this down into micro parts. Now, for argument's sake, first thing that I do when I go to the office, even though we're all very technological minded, nothing for me works better than pen and a pad. First thing that I do every morning, I go in and I pretty much mind dump on this piece of paper. So everything that I've got running through my mind that day, and I write it down as to these are things I want to achieve for this day. So even little things like send an email to this person, write to this person, make an offer on this property, go and view this property, because I know that if they're written down in front of me, I'm 75% more likely to achieve them than if I didn't, because I would forget them. And for me, when I see it there and then right in front of me, once I've achieved it, I cross it out, or I squiggle through it, or I put a big red tick next to it, just to make sure that as almost, and we're going to talk through three actions that I go through. You can have whatever you want in life if you do the following three things. Write down your goals. Plan what you need to do to achieve them. Make a daily habit of acting on your goals. And we're going to, again, that word habit has come into it because that's a big part of tonight's webinar. Now, when I was looking at stuff, when I set my goals, I look at what do I want to achieve, what do I need to do, and what will I be getting at the end of it. So we'll be looking at this in a short while as well. Because when you're looking at setting and achieving your goals, you've got to think about thoughts, actions, and results. What are my thoughts? What do I want to do? What actions do I need to take to get there? And what's the result of getting it all right? Is it going to go well? And a result could even potentially be a reward. So as a result of getting the thoughts and the actions correct, the result could be that you buy yourself a new car. The result could be that you go off on holiday. The result could be something positive. So we're going to be going again through this because what are your property goals? Now, for argument's sake, take a moment here because what I'd like you to do is, if possible, so GoPulse, it goes, will we get a copy of the slides? Yes, I'll make sure that you get a copy of the slides and also a copy of this webinar as well. So if you think that this is of interest to GoPulse and you think it's going to help you in the future, then yes, you're more than welcome to have a copy of the webinar, and I'll get it sent out hopefully tomorrow. So I want you to take a moment here and talk about what your property goals are. So is your goal to become financially free? Is your goal to travel the world? Is your goal to quit your job? Is it to take time for take holiday of a lifetime, buy the car of your dreams? Is it to help your kids through university? Write them down for me if possible, just so that I know who we've got online and what your goals are, so that I can kind of tailor this webinar according to who we've got online. And it's interesting to watch because, you know, when my marketing team said that no one would join this webinar, okay, numbers are slightly lower than normal, which is to be expected, but they're creeping up every second we look at it. So for those that have just joined, welcome to the webinar, and we're talking about property goals. We're talking about how to achieve your goals. So some of the goals that have come through so far: Stephen says he wants to quit his job. Bob has said he wants to get to financial freedom. Neil says he wants to build a legacy business, give my son a life of choice and unlimited growth. That's a fantastic goal. Take my kids to school every day. Marco, Reed wants to quit his job. Yvonne wants to quit the job. Ivana wants financial freedom. Chris wants to boost my pension. Mark wants to spend more time with family. Amjad loves his job but wants more financial freedom and security. Okay, so there's lots and lots working around financial freedom. Lots of people want to quit their jobs, and Alan's put all of the above and more. And Julius says my goal is to earn at least £5,000 a month cash flow, which is equivalent to £60,000 a year, which is a good goal as well. Okay, so here's an interesting one. Evelyn has put, get the lifestyle I deserve. Okay, now Evelyn, I'm going to play on that. Why do you believe you deserve it? Why, if you believe that you deserve it already, why have you not already achieved it? Because deserve is a great word. And if you think you deserve it, why have you not already achieved it? Okay, so interesting. So do you see what we're doing here? We're pretty much putting it out on the line as to what we want to achieve. Now, so we're pretty much starting from task one straight away. This is what we want to achieve. Now, the next thing is, you know, we've got to put that in a monetary figure. So, because putting it out as I want to buy a car is a great goal. Now, the question is, a car can cost £100 or a car can cost £300,000. Which car do you want? And we've then got to have a look at it from another point of view, is with regards to property goals, are you looking for something in between £0 to £2,000 a month, £2,000 to £5,000, £5,000 to £10,000 a month? Because all this you'll need this to make sure so that you can keep on track. So if you wouldn't mind, like I said, it is an interactive session. If you could put in there what you think you would like or what you would need to be financially free or to achieve your goal. So would you need £5,000 a month cash flow, like one of the other guys said previously? So okay, so I'm just saying what's 15 grand a month? 15 grand a month is 120 plus 60, 180 grand a year. It is achievable, believe it or not. So a lot of people come in with 10, 5 grand a month. I would say that the average at the moment is around 5 grand a month. So initially £1,500 a month, but then 15, okay, some people say 15 grand a year. Some people say 20 grand a month. Wow. 20 grand a month is 240 grand a year. Okay, so we've got some real good figures in there. So the average I would say is between 5 and 10 grand a month. And believe it or not, all this is achievable. What we need to make sure is that it's written down. Now, believe it or not, I still have, well, I've got two offices. I've got my office, which is the one that I leave the house to go to, or I've got my home office, which is where I'm presenting from this evening. Now, in my home office, I've still got a vision board. I've got a vision board as to where what I believe where I am at the moment, or where I want to be. And I'm surrounded by a load of people. Now, I believe it or not, I have a business mentor as well. My business mentor is completely off the scale. You know, he's worth the best part of £500 million, and he, literally flies private jets around the world, lives a fantastic lifestyle. And, Venus put, what does your vision board look like? For me, my vision board, my first part of my vision board is to I put a lot of personal stuff in there. So where do I see, believe it or not, what my kids are going to do? Now, I know Venus got some elder children, should I say, or who are very independent. Now, with regards to my vision board first is I've got two very young kids who are 3 and 1 year old, 3 years old and 1 year old. So my first part of vision board is to make sure that they go through the best form of education in order, or whatever I can afford in terms of education, in order to give them the best start in life. And then from a business point, I've got personal vision, I've got business vision, I've got overall vision. So the next part of my vision board is my business vision. So how many properties have I currently got? Where do I want to be? How many properties do I want to own? What's the strategies that I'm going to employ? So I do vision sometimes in years. So it could be year 1, year 3, year 5. Or I can literally, depending on how strategic you want to be with this. So let's just say for the argument of this webinar, let's keep it to 1 year. So if you're saying that you want to get to 5 grand a month, how many properties are you going to require? So let's just work on the basis on average that a cash flow on an average HMO is around between £500 and £800 a month. £800 a month, that means that you're going to need approximately 8, 16, 24, 32, 32, 40, making my math. So between 5 and 7, you say 7 HMOs. So technically speaking, from a monetary figure, we've now calculated how many properties you require. Next question we've got to do is, how are we going to acquire property? So Frederick Goebel says, do you still have a business mentor? Yes, I do. Question, the reason being is that everyone gets stagnant from time to time, including me. Now, I wrote an article for YPN about 2017 and the year of you. How do you continuously keep reinventing yourself? How do I continuously keep bringing new stuff so that it keeps me interested, it keeps me on the edge? Now, even though I've been involved in property 16 years, yes, I've seen the good and the bad and the ugly times, but I still need to keep myself maintained and interested, because if I maintain interest, that will automatically reflect in my results as well. Now, 2016 for me has been a phenomenal business year. And that was as a result of other things that I created. So for argument's sake, we've got some members here actually online. So I created something called the Elite Property Tribe. And that is a fantastic model that we'll be looking to replicate. But going forward, we have to keep evolving further from that. I'm just looking through some of the questions. Okay, so Vince said that there's no sound. Can everyone still hear me nice and loudly and clearly? If you could, that'd be great. Okay, so everyone could say, so just so that you know, Vince, if you can't hear me for whatever reason, just log yourself out, log yourself back in, and that should sort out the problem. So writing down your goals, you need to write them down somewhere where you'll see them every day. Now, my vision board for me is a consistent reminder as to what I need to do. So going back to the micro stuff on a day-to-day basis, I write them down in front of me every day, and I keep them right next to my keyboard. because on my work desk, I've got my computer, then I've got my keyboard, then I've got my office phone, as well as some other papers. But in between me and the keyboard is my list of the list of stuff that I need to do. And you've also got to look at how will you feel when you've achieved your goal. And you've got to use this feeling as a motivation for action. Now, I know it sounds daft, but making a phone call, for argument's sake. Now, the day before we broke up, which is Friday the 23rd, I had on there that I had to call someone to make them an offer for their property. Now, I didn't know how the offer was going to go. It's a bit of a difficult situation. But the person had a house for £300,000, and he kept saying to me, "Arsh, make me an offer." And it really wasn't a property that, admittedly, I wasn't really interested in. It was a difficult property, difficult location. So I made it. He goes, "Arsh, I really want you to make me an offer." So I made him an offer, and admittedly, it was a bit of a cheeky offer, but it was quite a risky property to take on. Now, property's worth approximately 300 grand, and I made an offer of 150 grand, which is 50% of the market value. And in that location, it's, it probably will take a bit of time. Now, just for argument's sake, if you had a property that's worth 300,000, I made you an offer of 150,000, what would your initial response be? Feel free to be blunt here. Okay, so someone says no. Okay, that's cool. So Andrew said no way. Yvonne puts depend on my situation. Julius would say no thanks. In actual fact, a gentleman that I was talking to called Rob said, "Arsh, I'd like to take you up on your offer." Now, how do you feel, on the other side of it, you guys, so Roger put on your bike. So I'm actually meeting Rob on the 28th, so not tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, and we're actually going to get it locked out by using an exclusivity agreement, and we're gonna do the deal. We're gonna instruct solicitors the first week back after Christmas. Now, for argument's sake, you guys are all property investors. How would you feel as a result of taking that action? Bob says, has the property got potential? Well, the property is pretty much like brand new. He's kept it in very good condition. Admittedly, it's just not a property that I really wanted to buy, if I'm honest. I think if he wanted anything over 200 grand, I would have turned the property away. So he's got lots of pain. So exactly. So Neil says, I'd be chuffed. Marco said, great, happy. You've found yourself a really motivated investor. You found yourself a really motivated seller. And that's the whole point. I wrote it down in my goal that I was going to go back to him that day with my offer. And as a result of me taking that action, I got a result. So we're going to go through this. This is all basic stuff that we're going through at the moment. Your plan for success your plan must have both clouds and dirts. A cloud plan is the big picture. The dirt plan is the daily actions. Now, I feel like we've gone across some of this just now. The cloud plan could be your vision board. And your dirt plan is the stuff that you're doing on a daily basis that's going to get you to your end goal. Now, the cloud plan is what property strategy will give you the cash flow that you will need or you want in a year or less. Will you achieve your goals with your current strategy? Now, one thing that people struggle with, and I see a lot of property investors all over the country, and the first thing that they decide to do is, I'm going to do this, I'm going to go and find a load of below market value deals. But they don't know whether that's the right strategy for them. Now, there's a key, and there's a very simple formula here. The right strategy plus the right habit will equal achieving your goals. And I can't stress that enough. The reason being is that if you don't choose the right strategy and you don't form the right habit, you will never achieve your goals. The key to your property's success is cash flow, because cash flow is a key to freedom and happiness. Cash flow is the lifeline of every business, and cash flow also gives you a better quality of life. And the reason why I say that is because we're going to talk about short, medium, and long-term goals in a short while. And I'm a believer that you've got to make sure that your short-term goal is sufficient enough to provide you with cash flow in order for you to fulfill your medium and your long-term goals. Does that make sense? So cash flow, someone's just said, can you go through that again? So cash flow is the lifeline of every business. You need to make sure that you're generating cash flow every month in order that your business is self-sufficient, and as well as generating additional cash flow to feed the medium and long-term strategies within your business. Okay, so for argument's sake, your short-term strategy could be something like deal trading or rent-to-rent. Rent-to-rent is a great strategy, and that's one of the strategies that we're going to talk about tonight, because I believe it's a very easy and a very risk-free strategy. It's very easy to get involved in, and it's very rewarding if you do it correctly. Now, a medium-term strategy could be something like acquiring a HMO, or acquiring a HMO still generating cash flow. The beauty with rent-to-rent in the short term is that you don't need a lot of money to get involved, and we'll be talking about that. It's literally done on a handshake. So, for arguments, before I go any further, does everyone on the webinar know what rent-to-rent is? And if you don't, feel free to say, okay, so quite a few people, yeah, everyone so far saying yes. Okay, brilliant. Okay, so rent-to-rent is where you take a property off a landlord, you rent it off them for a period of 1, 3, 5 or 7 years, or anywhere in between, and you then decide to turn it into a multi-let, and you rent it out by the room, hopefully giving the landlord a lot more than what you're paying, hopefully generating a lot more than what you're paying the landlord, which will give you cash flow per calendar month. Now, with all that cash flow, you could potentially purchase a property and then turn it into a HMO to generate additional cash flow. And then on the long term could be either something like a buy-to-let, or a development project, whatever it may be, whatever you desire, or whatever fits your criteria or your personality type. And personality type, again, is a big thing to consider, especially when you're looking at goal setting and strategy. Because personality type, for argument's sake, now I know we've got Vina on the line, and I'm going to pick on Vina slightly, just purely because Vina's in part of one of my mentorship groups, and I know that, for argument's sake, if I was to say to her rent-to-rent, she would say, well, Arsh, to be fair, I don't really want to do rent-to-rent. I don't want to deal with tenants. I want to do the fast stuff. I want to be buying and selling. I want to be deal trading, and that's where she's heading down the road. I've also got Rich online, who again is one of my personal mentees. Let's just see if Rich is still online. Yeah, Rich still. And now Rich has had rent-to-rent success, and he's now also had deal trading success. Now, Thursday, was it? Sorry, I think it might have been Wednesday last week, just before we broke up. We put out a 14-bed HMO, and that was one that Rich had actually sourced himself, and he'd seen the whole transition of now the deal trading side of it, and he really liked it. He loved the passion, he loved the quickness of it, is that a word? The fast movements of it, and how it really worked. Okay. So Roger's put, does rent-to-rent work anywhere, or is there certain places that are not suitable? Now, we'll talk about that in a short while. So going back to the cloud plan, rent-to-rent cash flow. Rent-to-rent is a great strategy which will generate your cash flow, and there's a great strategy for it. And now we worked on the basis of 8 houses, which would give you approximately £5,200 cash flow per calendar month, which is equivalent to 49. I think it's about between £600 and £700 a month. Now, for argument's sake, you could say that, okay, I want to generate cash flow from the rent-to-rent strategy. I'm going to need 8 houses, which is going to give me approximately £5,200 cash flow. And I'm going to create myself a deadline. The deadline being for the first house equals March. So between now and March, I'm going to do my marketing. But you've created yourself deadlines. You've understood your strategy. You've understood how much cash you require and what you'd like. You've created yourself a first deadline. You've given yourself a first port of action, or a first checkpoint, should we call it. Deadline for the first house equals March 2017. Now, and then we're going to put additional property every month for the rest of the year. So within a year, you're going to take on potentially 6 properties, one property every other month. Now, for argument's sake, who likes the thoughts of us just breaking it down like that? Have I lost anyone, by the way? Feel free to say, well, Arsh, okay, you've lost me. Okay, so Bob, would you say that I've lost it, or would you say that I've lost you, or would you say that you're still with me? Okay, perfect. So everyone's still saying, that they're good. So here we're choosing rent-to-rent as a strategy. We're saying that we need approximately 5,200, which is equivalent to 8 houses. We've set ourselves a deadline, being the first house no later than March 2017, and we've also said that in order to get to our goal of 5,200, we're going to take additional property on every month for the rest of the year. Now, the dirt plan is what daily actions are you going to do to find and set up your first house. Now, for argument's sake, that could be that we're going to send out a load of leaflets. We're going to write out to a load of landlords. We're going to go out to landlords. We're going to go and meet lots of landlords. What daily actions are you going to do to find the next 7? You'll need more than motivation to make this a reality, and that's key. And that's what a dirt plan is. So we've got the cloud plan and we've got the dirt plan. The dirt plan really is the day-to-day grind as to what you're going to do on a day-to-day basis to make sure that you achieve the cloud plan. So how many landlords are you going to contact that day? How many are you going to call? Are you going to write to them? Are you going to call them? Are you going to send out leaflets? Are you going to send out letters? Are you going to go to networking meetings? Are you going to put an advert in the paper? Are you going to call up old leads? What is it that you're going to do to get to that action? Now, I've put in some motivation quotes here, because motivation versus habit. Motivation is what gets you started. Habit is what keeps you going. Because every one of you on the webinar will be motivated by the end of the webinar. But come tomorrow, that motivation may have dampened. That's where you have to create a habit. And the habit is what keeps you going. And I'll talk to you about one of the people that I've trained over the last, nearly 2 years now, in February. His habit is that every week he has to call no less than 50 landlords. He's created that as a habit, and as a result of that, he's seen massive success. Now, Warren Buffett believes that chains of habits are too light to be felt until they are too heavy to be broken. And here's another one. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. So every day I go into the office, or regardless whether it's home office or work office, first thing that I do, write down the things that I want to achieve that day. It's become a habit for me. As a result of that, we're successful people are simply those with successful habits. And Stephen Covey on habits wrote, sow a thought, reap an action. Sow an action, reap a habit. Sow a habit, reap a character. Sow a character, reap a destiny. So how do we create a habit? Because it's all very well talking about it, but how do we actually create it? Very simple 3-step formula. It's called trigger, action, and reward. Now, the science behind the mystery is Ivan Pavlov discovered the conditioned reflex. And believe it or not, this was so simple. He rang a bell at the same time as giving the dogs their dinner. The dogs later associated the sound of a bell with food. And just by hearing the bell, the dogs would salivate. I know it sounds really crazy, but it's so simple. Now, how do we create a habit? For argument's sake, let's look at the trigger. We wake up and we make ourselves a cup of a coffee. The action could be we spend 30 minutes working on our property business, whether that be making phone calls, whether we be phone calls to vendors, whether we writing letters to landlords, whether we go out meeting letting agents, whether we go out meeting estate agents, whatever it may be. And the reward, as a result, our reward should be, and we have to reward ourselves by getting us through the week, is possibly go out to dinner once a week, or buy yourself something you've always wanted. And unfortunately, I hate to say it, but we don't actually reward ourselves enough, which sometimes then, as a result of not rewarding ourselves, we won't follow through with all of our actions. So reward is a really important part of it. Now, to create your better habit now, where will you find 30 minutes every day? Share your trigger, action, and reward comment in the comments box now. So where will you find 30 minutes every day? What would be your trigger? What would be your action? And what would be your reward? Have a think about it. And whilst you're doing that, I'm just going to quickly, and I'm going to come back to this slide in a second. Success is a habit. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. If you don't have the success that you want, it's because you're not made a habit for achieving it. Now, going back to the question, or well, one of the comments that one of the attendees made earlier, because I deserve it. What have you done to deserve it? If you don't have the success that you want, it's because you have not made a habit for achieving it. It would be very easy for me to become complacent. I've already got a property portfolio that cash flows very nicely. I could very easily just sit at home and do pretty much not a great deal every day. But for me, that I would become very lazy. And my mind wouldn't allow me to do that. And as a result, I have a high level of success. And the reason why I have a high level of success, because I've got a habit of getting out of bed every day and going out and hunting for it. I'm still hungry. I'm still extremely hungry when it comes to business. So I'm going to go through some of your habits. So Reed has put, I'm going to get up earlier. Neil says, I'm going to run, shower, dress well, then get busy working on my business. You'll always find time to do what is important to you, says Bob. Trigger says, I want to be financially free. Neil says, finding the time, saying no to daft diversions and other people's agendas. And you know what, to be fair, Neil, that is spot on, because we waste so much time on going through other people's stuff. Action, I have to take steps on a daily basis towards it. And Julius has put use 30 minutes each day to contact an estate agent. And that's a great way, Julius, because to be fair, some estate agents won't understand you straight away. Because not everyone's going to fall in love with you the moment that they meet you. That's unnatural. But by calling them and spending time with them on the phone, whether you go and meet them, it starts to build rapport. Once they understand that you're really serious about what you've got to offer, believe it or not, the success will talk for itself. Yvonne's put that the trigger is to visualize a goal, the action is to go and visit letting agents, and the reward is go for a meal with my friends. And that's, you know what, you've got it spot on. Evelyn, instead of visualizing the goal, write it down. Get it on your vision board. The action has got to be then what you're going to do to get there. And the reward is the meal with your friends, telling them about it. Because remember, sharing everything you do with all the people around you will start to create a bit of a buzz about what you do, which will give you more of a sense of worth to go out and do it. Set yourself a daily goal that is achievable. After you've done it for 8 days in a row, you are likely to set it a little higher. If you set your daily goal too high, then after 2 days, you're likely to give up. And that's fact. Enjoy the feeling of success. Now, as Evelyn says, she's going to go out for a meal with her friends. See how this inspires you to seek more success. Now, one of my mentees, Rich, who's sourced that deal, he's seen success. He's seen the fact that he's going to get a monetary figure for doing the deal. I'm hoping that this is a springboard for him now and inspires him to go out seeking more deals. Does that make sense? The first time that you get rent-to-rent property, you're going to be completely, first of all, possibly overwhelmed. But even when I come out of a property and I feel like I've just done that, I still give myself a bit of a fist pump, go, yes, I've still got it, I'm still doing it every day. But I still enjoy the feeling of it. There's no better feeling than that little fist pump and that little pep talk to myself, yes. And it inspires me to go out to seek more success. Now, the cloud plan is going back to the rent-to-rent cash flow strategy. 8 houses, which is going to generate 5,200 cash flow. Deadline for the first house in March. The additional property every month for the rest of the year. Now, we're going to talk about rent-to-rent in slightly more detail now. So, for those that don't know, well, everyone said that they know what rent-to-rent is, but a rent-to-rent investor is pretty much like a property management company, or to put it in another way, a glorified letting agent. The big difference is that rent-to-rent is a landlord stream. And when we say that it's a landlord stream, when you go out and you offer a landlord a rent-to-rent deal, you're offering them so much more than what no one else can offer. You take on the responsibility for the property being filled by giving the landlord a guaranteed rent on a long-term let. Why rent-to-rent? Because it gives you a regular, recurring income without buying a house. You make a big financial decision with confidence. The reason why we say that is because rent-to-rent is important because of 4 main factors: speed, cost, low risk, and recurring income. Now, I don't know, has anyone taken on any rent-to-rent? Has anyone taken any rent-to-rent deals on? Now, when you take on a rent-to-rent deal, the beauty of rent-to-rent is the speed. So no waiting on solicitors, no waiting on surveyors, no waiting on lawyers or their lawyers. Deals can be done at the speed of a handshake and a signed contract. You can grow your portfolio at the speed of your ambition. Now, the beauty about the cost is, if you were to go off and buy a property, you would need a deposit. You would then need potential legal costs. You would then need stamp duty, and the costs start to rack up. The beauty with rent-to-rent is that there's no deposit required, and it's a no excuses way to invest in property. Everyone can take on a rent-to-rent property. Now, it's very low risk. Now, for argument's sake, let me break this down for you. If you were to buy a property, how could you get out of that property? Now, sorry, I was just reading the comments there. If you were to buy a property, how could you get out of that property? The only way that you could get out of that property is by selling the property. There is no other way. Whereas with rent to rent, it very simply is a break, exercising the break clause in the contract. The beauty of it is that the house prices don't affect you, the interest rates don't affect you, and the success only requires your focus and determination. You create a recurring income by quitting, and you can quit your job. Quitting your job is scary. Being your own boss is scary. But now, with a recurring income that's as regular as clockwork, you can actually create yourself a very decent business out of it. Looking at the dirt plan. So we looked at the cloud. Now let's look at the dirt, which is pretty much what we're going to do on a day-to-day basis to make it happen. The simple four-step process for rent-to-rent success is find it, control it, furnish it, and fill it. We're also going to start looking at where do we find these landlords? Well, we can look at Sparing, we can look at Gumtree, we can look at property networking events, and also your network. Who's in your network? Who can you think of in your personal space right now? Who owns property that could help? You could help by giving them a guaranteed rent and a guaranteed rent with no void, no bad debt, no maintenance. You've got to create yourself a habit of finding landlords by making a daily habit by looking at places like Spare Room and Gumtree for rooms to rent and calling the landlord right now, not putting it off. Not put it off, oh, don't worry, it's Christmas, I'm going to call him on Monday. The pain is right now. And as a result of that, you've got to celebrate your success. And I can't say that enough because so many people just say, oh, you know what, I'm not going to bother him on Boxing Day. If I see a deal today, I'm calling him today because that shows him that I'm so serious about what I want to do and how I want to help that landlord. You find all the property networking events 1 hour's drive from you, or even longer. You know, don't be afraid to go to a networking event that's 3 hours away. I've been up and down the country looking at networking events. Now, believe it or not, YPN, which is your property network, lists all the well-known events in there at the back of the magazine, and you can create a weekly habit of going to different networking events, and again, celebrate your success. And another habit of finding landlords, believe it or not, there's 17.5 million homeowners in the UK and 10 of them have buy-to-lets, which means that at least 10 of your friends are property investors. But when generally property investors don't just own one, they may own 2 or 3 properties, which basically means that it's more likely to be 20 or 30% of them that own property. But if you haven't spoken to them, how would you ever know that they've got any form of pain or motivation? So, okay, so someone's put a comment here. Sorry, I can't see your name at the moment, but it says, but you need some money to pay deposit, at least a month's rent on the house. Not necessarily. The beauty with rent to rent is that you don't have to pay it. Out of the 32 properties that I've got on a rent to rent contract, I've only ever paid 1 deposit. And depending on how you negotiate it, I generally pay a month in arrears as opposed to a month in advance. And the beauty with rent to rent, it is all subject to negotiation. There is no 2 negotiations which will ever be the same. So, for argument's sake, one landlord will be that he wants his money up front. Another landlord will be wants his money in arrears. One landlord will be where they take on all the maintenance. Another landlord may be that it's fully exclusive. Now, for argument's sake, I've got one where the landlord's taken on the responsibility of the boiler, and another one where I'm taking full responsibility of the whole property. So it all is subject to negotiation. And you're going to make a weekly habit of seeing old friends, have fun and make money and celebrate your success. Now, step 2 is control. Why would a landlord want you to manage their property? And the answer is because you're going to be giving them a better service than anyone else, better than any other letting agency, and you're not going to charge him a penny. And that's what rent-to-rent is. You're offering them a better, well, the same, if not a much better service than what a letting agency can offer them, but with a guaranteed rent, where you may potentially look after the voids, the bad debt and the maintenance, and you're not going to charge them a penny, whereas other agents would have charged potentially the best part 10 to 12%. And here's another habit that you need to make sure that you have in order to control property. You've got to memorize your landlord's questions to find out their pain and motivation. You've got to memorize their irresistible offer to solve all their problems. The reason why I say that is because when I go to meet a landlord, the first thing that I do, probably for the first half an hour, is I just listen. Listen, listen, listen. Very rare that I'll say anything within the first half hour. I'll just want to understand why is it that they've called me as opposed to gone to the normal letting agency. What is it that the letting agency has done that has really bothered them so much that they want someone else to come and take control? Once I understand their pain and motivation, the rest of it falls basically into my lap. I know it sounds daft, but it really does. Other landlords' questions, you need to figure out how many rooms are available for rent. How long have they been empty? How long have you been a landlord for? Are they happy with your tenants? Why do you invest in property? Do you really want to be a landlord? Your irresistible offer will be stuff like, what are you offering? Guaranteed rent, long-term let, no management fees, professional tenants only, weekly cleaners, paid at your expense. You will furnish the property. If you can give the landlord what he wants, which is potentially passive income, then you can offer him a better service than anyone else. He will want you to manage his property. That goes without a doubt. Because letting agencies can't offer him all the stuff that you can offer him. Letting agencies can't offer him all that you can offer. And the reason being is you've got more control over the property. Now, I'm going to give you another gift. My Christmas gift to you is a rent-to-rent calculator showing you how to give a landlord a great deal and make money yourself. Your rent-to-rent irresistible offer, both given at the end of the webinar. Now, how do you get paid? Because obviously there's no management fees. Your profit is found in the difference between the rent you collect and your costs, and your costs could include rent to the landlord, council tax, water, electricity, gas, TV license and broadband. Now, average house, you have 5 rooms at £500 a month, it's £2,500. Now, take out the rent to the landlord, take out the utilities, which will give you a profit of around £650 a month, and this is just an example. So how many houses would you require in order for you to get to your desired cash flow figure per calendar month? Now, I'm going to talk to you about, very briefly, before we go into more of the content now, I'm running a 2-day course to learn in full actionable detail how to start a rent-to-rent business from a 30-minute a day habit and enjoy £5,200 monthly income managing just 8 properties. I'll be showing you how to build your rent-to-rent portfolio at the speed of your desires with the underground secrets to find landlords that desperately need your help, and how to turn this lead source tap on whenever you need it so that you can grow your portfolio around your commitments. How to get leads pretty much tomorrow using my proven letter templates, so that you can send out to with your logo to landlords that you find on Rightmove, Spare Room and Gumtree. And how to make landlords an offer that they can't refuse. How to get them to say yes to your proposal every time, because it's a great deal for them and a profitable deal for you, and how to save yourself thousands of legal costs, as well as frustration by receiving all of my contracts, agreements and paperwork that you need to start your rent-to-rent journey the very next day, and why you don't need to worry about VAT, no matter how big you build your rent-to-rent empire, and other tax secrets that mean that you'll keep more of your hard-earned cash, and how to quickly jump from 0 to 1, then 1 to 8 properties in a year with a 30-minute daily habit, and how to manage 8 properties on just 1 day a week. The secret lies in the right tenants and the right systems, and how to accurately predict how much money you will make from each property after all costs. Our spreadsheet makes this quick and simple process, even if you fail GCSE maths, just like me. Now, it's on 21st and 22nd of Jan. We've got 21 spaces left. Now, going back straight into the content. Step 3 is furnish. And remember, we're back into the dirt here. So, how can you make this part of your daily habit before you found your first property? By having everything in place when you agree your first deal, you can celebrate. Now, I know for a fact that one of the guys on this webinar, Richard Bradbury, has got this down to a T. Now, Richard is a big fan. Well, he's currently got some rent-to-rent properties under his belt, having been training with me for the last few months, and he's made this part of his daily chore, so that he consistently looks out for furniture. So, if you've not planned ahead, then getting a deal in the start of a chaotic process. So remember, you've got to create a list of everything that you'll need. For argument's sake, what you're going to put in the bedrooms, what you're going to put in the kitchens, what you're going to put in the living rooms. You've got to source everything online, save the links, save the prices, note the delivery charges. Now, I know Rich, he's currently buying stuff from IKEA, he's systemized it, he's currently buying stuff off swap shops, he's currently buying stuff off, all kinds of places, and he's storing it ready for his next deal. So he's got it down to a T. And you now know 3 things: what you need, where to get it, and your investment to set up each property. Do it once, then you're prepared for success. I'm going to now give you step 1. For each bedroom, you'll need a double bed, wardrobe, chest of drawers, chair, depending on the size of the room, ceiling light, door locks, curtains, and artwork. For the kitchen, you'll need cutlery, crockery, pots and pans, cups and glasses, washing machine, fridge and dishwasher. Rich has just picked up a lovely double bed in the back of the van as we speak, picked up on Christmas Eve at 7 PM. Never miss a deal. I love that, Rich. Now, what you need for the communal lounge is possibly a big TV, 2 big sofas and a dining table. And you can find these things cheaper on eBay. Yes, that's the chaotic and stressful route, but I'm going to give you a success on a 30-minute daily habit. I'm going to give you the route to celebrate your success, not fear it. Step 4 is fill. How can you make this part of your daily habit before you found your first property? By having everything in place, so when you agree your first deal, you can celebrate. If you've not planned ahead, then getting a deal is the start of a chaotic process. You know which areas you want to manage your property. If you find a house in a different area, then you'll already have a system in place to quickly and easily write your attention-grabbing advert. You'll need to know where you're going to post your advert. You're going to need to know the limitations of each platform. Then when you've got your first property, all you need to do is follow a simple system. Now, who asked, Stephen asked the question, what if you can't find tenants? There's lots of ways of finding tenants. Finding tenants is the easy part, because if your property looks great, if it's in the right location, right price, and it looks fantastic, tenants will come to you, because pictures make the biggest difference. You can't take pictures before you've got the house, but you can list what you need. Each bedroom show exactly what they'll be renting: the kitchen, the communal living space, the garden, the parking, and the bathroom. You need to answer one simple question: why should you live here over anywhere else? And it makes perfect sense. You really got to go back and think about this. So, for argument's sake, if you're the tenant and you were looking at this ad, why would you live here as opposed to the advert that's above? What makes you stand out? What makes you better than anyone else there? What's in the area that makes your room more desirable? Is it the transport? Is it the parking? Is it the distance to major employers? Could it be gyms, restaurants, pubs and cafes that are in the location? And then where else do you post your ad? Is it on Gumtree? Is it Facebook groups? Is it Easy Roommate? Is it Spare Roommate? There's 30 different places that we post our adverts pretty much all the time to make sure that we get massive reach so that we're not missing anyone out. So you've just seen how an ambitious property cash flow goal is drowned into daily habits. You've seen how to prepare for success so that you can welcome it with open arms. And we've covered that all pretty much within an hour. Imagine what you'd learn if you had 2 days with me. Now, on a 2-day course, to learn in full actionable detail how you can start a rent-to-rent business from a 30-minute a day habit and enjoy 5,200 monthly income managing just 8 properties. You can build a rent-to-rent portfolio at the speed of your desires with the underground secrets to find landlords. What we'd be showing is how to get leads tomorrow. And what we'd also be giving you is all the templates and documents that you require so that you can start writing out to landlords the very next day. And how to make the landlords an offer that they can't refuse by pointing out what your USP is, what your unique selling point is. And what you've got to spell out is why it's a great deal for them, but also a profitable deal for you. And by coming on the workshop, how you can save yourself thousands of pounds in legal costs as well as time by receiving all the contracts and agreements that you need to start the very next day. And why you never need to worry about that, regardless of how big your empire becomes. And I had to jump from 0 to 1, then 1 to 8 properties within a year with a 30-minute daily habit program. And we'll be showing you how to create that habit. How to manage 8 properties on just 1 day a week, and the secret lies in the right tenants and the right systems, and how to accurately predict how much money you will make from each property after all the costs, because our spreadsheet makes it a quick and simple process, even if you fail GCSE maths. And like I said, there's only 21 spaces left. But what we're doing as a Boxing Day special, we're offering it today where you can, providing that you're prepared to leave us a testimonial discount. Providing that you're prepared to leave us with a testimony at the end of the workshop, we're offering it to everyone today for $997, and that's just for today, because we want you to inspire other investors with your success. And I'm so confident that the content that you'll be getting over the 2 days is 100% accurate and content rich, is that I'm giving you 100% money back guarantee, which basically says that if you're not completely satisfied, then all you've got to do is say it, and I'll give you a full refund. No questions asked, no problem at all. I will be running the 2 days personally, which basically you get a full 2 days with me, and we won't leave the days until every question is answered and every stone is unturned. And all you've got to do is very simple. You've got to just click, when I say click on the link, I haven't got to click on the link. Sorry, bear with me. I should have. So if I click on the link here, send that to all. In your comments box, all you got to do is click on the link, or if you want to go to bit.ly/boxing day R2R, just you've got to bear in mind the capitals there. You can have both days for $9.97. It's on 21st and 22nd of January. It's based in Birmingham, just 5 minutes walk from the Birmingham New Street train station, and you get 2 full days to work with me, showing you exactly how to A, goal set, and B, create a rent-to-rent business. And yes, you can do it, because one of the guys that we talked about is a chap called JC, based in Croydon, and within 1 year he took in 18 properties. That's 1 year in London, where people say that it can't happen. I say yes, it can. Now, Giresh is one of the guys that I'm currently mentoring. He's taken on 6 rent-to-rent houses in just 3 months. And he's now left his job, and he was in the medical profession. Now, Susie made £865 a month cash flow from just 1 property. She now has 4 properties in Leicester, giving her just over £3,000 a month cash flow. And the reason why I say that is because you've got to have self-belief. We're going into a new year. And you've got to ask yourself, what's made those 3 guys so special? And the answer is nothing. You're exactly the same as them. They are no different from you. They just put their doubts aside for long enough to give this a try. And they've achieved unbelievable results faster than they dared to dream. Anyone who can follow a proven system with a daily habit is guaranteed success. Discover the proven system at no risk to you. Because like I said, we'll be giving you a 100% money back guarantee. So I'm just going to quickly go through some of the questions. So sorry, Oluwatoyin says, are you running the training in London? Unfortunately, it's actually in Birmingham. So it's actually on Broad Street in Birmingham. We're holding it at the Jury's Inn Hotel on Broad Street in Birmingham. It's on the 21st and 22nd of January, 5 minutes away from Birmingham New Street train station. Okay, so Stephen's Port. It's a completely. So Stephen's just asked a question. Goes, is the content different to what you've offered before? This is a completely different workshop, Stephen. This is one that I'm running myself personally, and we're going to be spending a lot more time on how to tout for landlords. So we're not just going to be looking at, for argument's sake, spare room. We're not going to just be looking at portals. We're going to be looking at how to create the perfect adverts. We're going to be looking at how different ways of marketing. We're going to be looking at the negotiation aspect, how to get the landlord to your way of thinking. Reed says, is it near the NEC? Is it near the NEC? I can't say it is. It's very much more towards the Birmingham city centre. So Marco says, please show us the specific strategies when it comes to personalities. So Olu says, when's the deadline for payment for this training? So what we're leaving it open for the rest of this evening. We've got, believe it or not, we've actually got 3 weeks up until the workshop. So if, for argument's sake, if you can't make a whole payment today, if you can't make the whole payment today, what you can do is spread it over 3 weekly payments, but the whole payment would have to be due prior to the workshop. So if that's of interest, I'll leave you my contact details shortly. So one day, how good will it feel when you've achieved your property cash flow goals? When you've achieved your own benchmark success? One day you may be able to quit your job. One day you may be able to take a holiday of a lifetime, buy the car of your dreams, help your kids through university. That one day could be today, because success in property boils down to 2 things: proven system and a daily habit. All you've got to do is look at all the successful people around the world. They've just boiled all the success down to a daily habit. And all you've got to do is read up on these people, and all the traits remain the same. And all you've got to do, like I say, is learn my secrets at no risk to you all. All you've got to do is follow the link below. We've got a lot of questions that's come in, so I will go through these. So before we sign out, I want to say thank you for taking the time on Boxing Day to discover the secrets of setting and achieving your goals. Hopefully, you'll use what you've learned tonight to create better habits in your life, habits that support your goals. And here's my other gifts to you. So I'm actually going to give you the rent-to-rent calculator. I'm also going to give you the rent-to-rent landlord offer. Just use these documents to jumpstart your rent-to-rent success. So as I said, I've given you 3 gifts this evening, and they're documents that I use on a day-to-day basis. And what I will do is so hopefully that should be with you by now. So hopefully you've got those. If there's still some unanswered questions, I'm going to be available for the next probably 20 minutes or so. I'm going to be available for the next 20 minutes or so. If you want to have a chat with me, more than welcome to give me a call, have a chat. I'm happy to do that. Someone's just put, can you put the link up? Okay, so we've got the link there. And whilst for the next couple of minutes, I said for the next 10 minutes, I'm going to just see if we can go through some of the questions. Are there any questions that you would like to ask about this strategy? And if so, feel free to ask away and I'll see if I can go through them. So let's just have a look. Okay, what if the landlord gives you the house to rent as based on room price? You've got to bear in mind, Abraham, that obviously 6-bed house and he's renting it out to you at £2,000 a month. Now, one thing that you've got to take into consideration, if it's not worth your while and it's not worth your time and there's no form of profit in it, why would you want to take it? Now, I don't know about you, but I'm in this to actually make money. So, sorry, one of the questions is that, can we pull up the link? Okay, brilliant. So, if there's no money in the deal, why would you buy it? Or why would you take it on? Because technically speaking, you're taking on someone else's headache for what? For very little gain. And, you know, there's nothing wrong with walking away from a deal if it doesn't stack up, and we do that all the time. If we start talking to a landlord and the figures just aren't there, I'm not going to take it on and put myself at financial risk if the deal doesn't work. Okay, so Louise has put, can rent-to-rent work on any house, as in not a I don't. The rest of the question wasn't there, so hopefully I'll come back to that. Okay, so can rent-to-rent work on any house, as in not a HMO? Now, the reason why it works extremely well for a HMO is because if you're going to give the landlord market rent as a single let, let's just say that you're going to give the landlord 600, and the market rent for a single let is 600. What would be the advantage of taking it off him, unless he's going to give it you for less than the market rent? So, generally speaking, it has to work on a HMO basis. So Ron's put rent-to-rent to service accommodation. In this situation, the property would I believe be classed as commercial. Would the existing landlord avoid the tenant tax? Now, Ron, admittedly, when we start talking about tax, I'm not able to give tax advice. So, admittedly, when it comes to stuff like that, I always suggest you have to make sure that you get sound and proper financial advice by a tax advisor or by a decent accountant. There are some people saying that it would, well, I don't know, because service accommodation isn't considered as, it's still questionable whether it's still residential or whether it's still commercial. So, it all depends on interpretation to the law, I would suggest. So you're best off speaking to a financial advisor on that. So someone's thought, can you put up my contact details again? There you have it. So you've got my mobile number and you've got my email address. So someone's just put up, let's have a quick look. I believe I've answered pretty much all the questions, because all the questions are pretty much replicated. Let's quickly go through them just to make sure. Okay, James says that the links aren't working for him. Can you email the docs to him? James, have you made sure that you're using the correct well, are you using making sure that when you're putting it all in, you're using the correct caps in the right places, because that will be reliant. Okay, so Barry says that the word links works fine for him. So it may be that you're probably typing them in wrong into your web browser, because they are caps sensitive. So hopefully that works for you, but I'll see if I can email them. I'm not going to promise to that, unfortunately. It's taken me to the Dropbox page and say, James, that's where they are. That's where they are being held. They are held in the Dropbox, so you'll have to download them from there. What's the lowest number of rooms that works best for a HMO to spread the cost of council tax utilities? I would say no less than 4. No less than 4, because generally it's 3 rooms will kind of break even for the cost, and the 4th room will be profit. So there we go. Okay, so I'm just. So Barry says, can you copy and paste from the chat box? Okay, I will do that. There we go, that's done, Barry. How willing do you find landlords to negotiate rent-free periods for property that needs tidying up, and for tidying up or furnishings? Believe it or not, Dickie, we find it very easy to negotiate rent-free periods with landlords. We've taken on 2 properties day before we broke up, both in Wolverhampton, and we've negotiated a 2 and 4 week rent-free period on both the properties, which pretty much give us up until the end of January to do very minor works and get the property up and running. So it's very straightforward if you can get it in place. Is a management agreement sufficient? We always use management agreements. The reason being is that it's the same kind of agreement that a letting agency would use, and it doesn't breach any form of mortgage regulations. So hopefully that helps as well. So guys, on that note, someone said, can we put up contact details again? So I'm going to be available up until about 9:30. If you want to have a chat, feel free to give me a call. Let's see what we can do and see how we can help and work together. Hopefully you found pretty much the last 90 minutes of use and of interest, and I wish you all the very best and success. Hopefully use what you've learned tonight. Hopefully you find it of great use, and I look forward to speaking to you all very much in the future. So guys, on that note, wish you all the very best. Good night. Take care. God bless.